Did you know that there are now over 81 known autoimmune diseases compared to in 1950 when we had one known autoimmune disease? So in just over 70 years, we jumped from one autoimmune disease to now over 81 autoimmune diseases that are known. And of these 81 plus autoimmune diseases that now exist and are known, over 80% of these cases are female. An autoimmune disease is a condition arising from an abnormal immune response to any functioning part of the body, and then it begins to attack itself. Here you see the dates of our discovery of autoimmune diseases over time. And keeping in mind that now over 80% of all autoimmune cases are female. Remember the date, 1984, as we continue. In my course, I cited a study from 2018 published in the Frontiers of Immunology that stated that females develop a more innate and intense response, a cellular immune response to viral infections as well as to vaccines. Now, in my course, Holistic Health and Performance for Women, I put this study in almost last minute before we launched in end of 2019. And I've been following all studies that are relative and related to this specific study because this information is very important, and I'll tell you why. Due to women having estrogen, higher levels of estrogen, and E2, which is a type of estrogen that is a hormone receptor that signals immune cells, we have more of these, so we have stronger immune responses, and that is by perfect design for survival, reproduction, and evolution, to continue on our evolution. So when I say, and I cite this study, that women develop more innate, intense cellular immune responses, not only to viral infections, bacterial infections, but as well as vaccines. I will explain a little bit more because more studies have come out since then. TLR7 is an immune receptor. Now, all our immune receptors have these funny names and acronyms, so don't get lost or confused on that. Now studies are showing that to explain that 2018 study is that women have higher expressions of TLR7, and this is because of the X chromosome. The gene code in the X chromosome allows TLR7, an immune receptor, to sort of escape, which allows it not only to be confined, and it's not confined anymore, now it has simultaneous function all over the body, more docking, enhanced Th1 response. That's more releasing cytokine proteins. So if you've got this TLR7 and women, females, have higher expressions of this with more function, docking on receptors, and expressions on B cells, which produce these antibodies, that can help also explain why we have stronger responses to infections, pathogens, but also
to vaccines.
So just a quick wrap up. Females have a higher number and volume of immune cells, greater immune cell activity, and also if you took my course, you'd know that women have higher cortisol release. It's delayed cortisol release, which creates a chronic inflammatory response. So any incoming stress or stress of the body, it becomes prolonged and delayed. So we have higher inflammation, and pro-inflammatory response begins to be compounded. So the greater inflammatory immune responses that women have, compounded by stress, toxins, environment, pharmaceuticals, being chronic, equals autoimmune. Our bodies begin to attack itself because it's like having just one traffic cop, and there's traffic coming in from 20 directions, and it eventually just starts to not be able to tell which one is is the pathogen or the virus or whatever, so it just starts attacking itself. And now we are learning so much more about the sex differences when it comes to pharmaceuticals. And we have so many advances in medical and healthcare that it makes you wonder what is going on with all of these autoimmune diseases. If you remember in the beginning, I had shared that we have gone from one autoimmune disease that is known in 1950 to now over 81 autoimmune diseases in present time, 2022. Here you can see in my notes that we went from 4 doses in 1948 and 1 known autoimmune disease in 1950 to a jump of 24 more doses in 20 years. So 20 years later, in 1967, we now had 28 doses. And 20 years later, we had 4 known autoimmune diseases. Around 1986, doses were pretty steady at about 28 doses, but they removed smallpox vaccine and added the hepatitis B, or the Hib vaccine. Less than 10 years later, we jumped another 20 plus doses. And by 1997, we then had 27 known autoimmune diseases. And the 20 years to 22 years between year 2000 and 2022, we added another 23 doses. So that's 22 years, 23 more doses, and we went from 27 autoimmune diseases to 81. So within 74 years, we went from 4 doses to 73 doses. And we went from 1 known autoimmune disease to 81 autoimmune diseases. So we're getting sicker.